Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Regen auf mein Kopf. Hinter via Deckelbus ist die kleine Fahrt im Top. Geht mir kein Sach nicht, die Tropfen.
Hey everyone, welcome to Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. I'm your host, Judy Gold, and what a pleasure it is to be here today. We have today my interview with Matt Braunger, part 2 of my interview with him. He's really funny, and it's very interesting, too. I think you're going to enjoy. I love talking to comics. Anyway, who gives a shit? So let me tell you about what's going on in my life. Since I'm trying to speak at the beginning so everyone hears, but don't worry, I know who's listening till the end. So just so you know, today is November 7th. Is that correct? Is it November 7th or November 8th? Let's see. It is... Brittany, what is it? It's November 8th. Oh yeah, today's election day. I'm recording this a little early. Brittany's here. Brittany, hi. Okay. Anyway, so, by the way, there was someone, this agent I was working with, who for years, I would say a year or two, thought that Brittany, Joe Sowards, Richmond, who I talk about at the end of the podcast, who is my assistant. She is my executive, I'm an executive, so she's my executive assistant. Anyway, so this agent thought that I made up that I had an assistant, Brittany, until he actually heard her voice, like on a 3-way call. And he was like, oh my God, I thought you were making it up the whole time. That's how much people respect me in this business. Okay? All right. Anyway, so, besides the fact that it is election day and you better fucking vote, I don't care who the fuck you are and whatever fucking excuse you have to vote. Vote, vote, vote. Democracy. Democracy. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, the next week I will be 18 years old. And I can't even talk about it. So let me tell you what I'm doing this week. Besides, today I'm voting. Friday, November 11th, you motherfuckers. I'm doing a live podcast with Al Franken, the one and only Al Franken, who should still be our senator, but he's not. But anyway, so I am doing a live podcast at 9:30 p.m. for the New York Comedy Festival at the Midnight Theater, which is in Midtown. Go to my website. Oh, or on Twitter and Instagram and all that shit. I have a link for tickets. I need your fucking asses there. I'm going to have the bell. I need my people who listen there. Okay? So that's November 11th, this Friday, actually, at 9:30 p.m. at the Midnight Theater in New York, New York. Also, I just want to say, hey, on the 12th of November, which is Saturday, is Ben's first basketball game of the season. Ben Callahan Gold, or as I like to say it, Ben Callahan Gold. So good luck to him. And then I'm going somewhere for my birthday, but I don't know where I'm going, but I know what I'm doing. I actually figured it out because no one can keep a fucking secret in this family. Also, I want to say, fuck daylight savings time. What the fuck? Like, makes me depressed. This is part of my mental illness, is this fucking stupid getting dark at 4 o'clock in the fucking afternoon. It has to end. It must end now. Hate it. I think you're going to enjoy my part 2 conversation with Matt. He is very talented and prolific and a great talker. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Kill Me Now with Matt Braunger. Okay, so you started doing stand-up in 97. Is that correct?
Probably 98, 99, actually.
Oh, okay.
But yes, let's just say sure.
You said that you did 70 to 80% of your shows drunk.
Yeah.
Which I'm telling you, you would never have gotten away with in New York.
Well, when I say drunk, I don't think people necessarily knew. I think I had that young metabolism. I knew. And I only say that because we didn't do it to get our courage up or to be like, I'll have more fun this way. It was just like, it's nighttime and I'm not waiting tables, so we're drinking. It was me and like, Kyle Kinane and John Roy and a bunch of, and quite frankly, a few of us got stone sober during that time because of that. Because it was insane. Looking back on it, I'm just like, that is crazy. And we were doing short sets, but they were also in bars, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I would say you saying that in New York, I wouldn't get away with it. You're probably 100% right, because I think the rooms you're talking about are real rooms. Right. I did not start out in real rooms. They were bars that were putting up stand-up shows where everyone was at least buzzed in the room, if not sloshed. So it was just, I don't want to be like, it was the culture, but it was,
but when you did your first show, not drunk,
right?
What did you learn, or what was the difference?
It was the first time I was actually doing rooms on the road where it was just like, this isn't a party. I'm getting paid for this, And
do you remember the first time? Like, were you nervous? Like, I'm not going to,
No, it wasn't even that thing. It's only one of those things I'm aware of looking back.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind to not have a few before I went on stage, Like, of course, it certainly has now and has for some years. But it was just something you did, and
it's
a lot of people did it.
And what's also, I go to shows all the time. They're like, "Do you want anything to drink?" I said, "No, this is my job. I don't drink till after the show." Like, they're so used to comics. I say to these comics, like at the Cellar, and so, like, how do you get on stage stoned like that? Like,
stoned is your
job.
Too.
I know, this is your fucking job. And some people are like, I'm wasted right now. And it's like, why? These people are spending. So I need every brain syntax when I am on stage. I want to know, I want to be clear headed and know everything that's going on. I think it's a really bad habit. And even my older son who's worked in comedy clubs is like, I remember we were somewhere and they were like, "Oh, you want a drink?" And he's like, "She never does anything before she, and it's true. It's your fucking job. It's your fucking job." Okay.
Yeah.
I read that you, in an interview that you did, that you thought it was easier to do stand-up because you had created this sort of group of people that were, which is very stand-up-y. A lot of people don't realize that once you bond with your fellow stand-ups, it's huge. And there's always so many times where one person gets another person a gig or brings someone along. And I was reading about that and how you said it helped you. You also said, I don't know what it was like in the 80s. And I was like, I have to talk to him about the 80s because that's when I started in the early 80s. And the early 80s was the comedy boom. And I have to say, I think you could get so much stage time. I mean, and no one was on a phone. They weren't invented, but I could go, there were no bringer shows. No one had a show where you had to bring people. Yeah. Every place was packed. The show at Catch a Rising Star went from like 8:30 until 2:30 in the morning, nonstop.
Wow.
You had a change of MC at 11 or 11:30, and the audience would completely turn over, and you had to hang out, and I would go on at 2 a.m. for 4 people. Couldn't have been happier. The band told me I was funny. The servers told me I was funny. And it was going from one place to another. And it was really like I am lucky, I feel. But you said, there's more comics now, and that you had this group. And I thought to myself, he's lucky. He's lucky he has this group of friends, because the women never, I've said this multiple times on the show, we never got to work together because they would never put more than one woman on a show. And we couldn't help each other because there was room for one. And that's how they set up the system. Yeah. And I was just thinking about your experience versus mine, which was so, I have so many close friends who are female stand-ups, and a lot of them stopped doing stand-up because it's just, but the camaraderie among the guys is unbelievable. Like, I remember when Ray Romano got Everybody Loves Raymond and brought all his friends along, Yeah. And Jon Stewart, Jon Stewart. But do you know how lucky you are that you had?
Well, and I'll tell you how specifically lucky I was with that little group, because it was tiny. And I will say we did have some killer women, some women that were writing jokes that were like, Jesus Christ. That's the difference between the 80s and the, absolutely. But we 90s. Also, there were no stakes. Whereas I would say that era you started out in, it was the era of you go on Carson, you kill on Carson, you have a really good chance of having a career the rest of your life or having a sitcom.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were right there where there was, we were just doing stand-up because we really had fun doing it. And we had this open mic everybody went to every Monday, and they would sign up to 30 or 40 people, and everyone did only like 5 minutes. And because it was only 5, we always had this challenge to each other of doing new bits every single time. And it was funny because John Roy was the only guy who would really practice his art the right way and do stuff repetitive. And we made fun of him, and he would laugh at us and go, yeah, enjoy your jobs. Because he was already playing clubs. And we're like, he's right. But at the same time, because we didn't have any industry attention at all, Chicago didn't want us. It was kind of like we got to develop who we were probably a little faster than most. So once we got to, I definitely hit ground on LA, and it took me a couple of years to get known, but it's like, I liked how I did stand up. I liked the stuff I was talking about. I felt like I had something of a voice, and it was because there wasn't that attention. Pressure. Yes. Whereas in LA, you feel like
I love that you bring that
kind of there.
That was another aspect of 80s stand-up, is that you never knew who was in that audience. And at any given time that, people's careers changed from one guy going to a comedy club and saying, I want that. There was industry there. That is true. That was a place where industry went, and now they don't go out. They don't go out at all.
No.
Why? And your audition, you would audition in front of a live audience. It didn't matter what happened before you. What happened? That was your fucking slot. It was, there was no video or filming over and over and over until you got it right. That's it. Yeah, it was really, I think it made us better comedians, though. I think
interesting.
You knew when to work on your material, and you knew, like, I would go to clubs and I would be like, oh, I'm going to work on this new bit. And then they'd say, so-and-so's in the audience. And you're like, I'm not going to work on this new bit,
Nope. Yeah.
But there were so many rooms where you could do it. Why did you go to LA instead of New York after you?
Because I felt much more in I wanted to do stand-up and acting. And I felt like that back then, that was a place you could do it where it wasn't,
TV acting. You meant
TV acting, movie, wherever, basically, but on a screen mostly. Whereas New York was Broadway. New York was Broadway and stand up, but
and
much more stand up.
And off Broadway, yeah, you're
and
right.
Off Broadway, true, yeah. But still live stuff. I just wanted to. I had this fear of not being able to make a living at it, and I felt like, okay, that's my best shot. And I already have people who are there, and the lifestyle seems more in tune with me. I mean, I'm definitely a West Coast guy. Yeah. But it's one of those things I definitely look back on and go, what if? The one thing I have found, I think there's much less of this now, but the New York stand-up scene, I don't know why, it might be because there's so many more opportunities to do stand-up. You would definitely get people who were scrambling mentally much more. And it was like a heady sense of anxiety, whereas it wasn't as palpable in Los Angeles. It was definitely as strong. We're all just definitely scrambling just as much, but it wasn't this thing where you'd go show and a ton of people and you kind of see everyone had 1,000-yard stare. I feel like that's much, much more diminished now, especially now that we realize how it can all go away, like it did in 2020, where it's kind of like,
and 2001. I mean, being in New York after 9/11 was
wow. Yeah.
I mean, that was a point in my life where it's like, are we ever gonna be able to laugh again?
Yes.
And Saturday Night Live was actually the one that gave us all permission to laugh again, because when Giuliani was in a psycho mental case, and he came on and Lorne Michaels said, can we can we be funny? And he was like, can we be funny? Why start now?
Why start now? Yeah. Because we needed something like that to be like, because all of us, even now, you've been doing it longer than I have been, but I've been doing it for a pretty long time.
I've been doing it since you're 8 years old. Okay.
And that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's good. But see, that goes to my point. Even on a daily basis, we go, what am I doing? This is real. This is something that happens. People are into it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I am truly a stand-up. Like, people do it to get other shit, but I love the art. And you've said that your favorite is stand-up.
Yeah, because I can change. I can adapt. I had a set at the store last week. That's where I go up the most in LA. And
did you ever meet Mitzi?
Oh yeah.
She was so good to me. She was so good to me.
I got passed after she had given up the reins.
Right.
And I remember when I first got to LA, I auditioned, and she was kind of, even then, pretty detached. And, my set was fine, but I didn't get passed. And I totally understood. And I kind of focused on other places and stuff. But then when my now wife, then girlfriend, broke up for a few months, I was just like, I'm just going to be on stage as often as I can. So I just started hanging around the store, and then they eventually passed me. But yeah, I was up, and I was kind of working on.
See how that hanging out helps? No one hangs out anymore. No one hangs out.
Oh, I've tried to get friends passed, and I'm like,
you always have to hang out.
I told a friend of mine when he was on the on the come up, why don't you go hang out at the Comedy Store? I'll introduce you. And I did. And he came on a night that I wasn't there. And, he was, after 45 minutes of watching comedy, and they let him in free. He texts me all caps, they're just making me wait. And I was just like,
oh my God,
that's the
45
game.
minutes? How about hours? How about hours and hours? And
weeks.
Fucking watch the other comedians and learn something. This is
I would go.
Fuck them.
Yeah. So that's I had it, I go there once or twice a week, and I was there, and I was working on a premise that, it wasn't doing amazingly, but I looked at one guy, and I felt I started calling him Carhartt, because he had a Carhartt hat on. And then I was like, oh, did you just come from work? And he's like, no, I'm a software engineer. And I'm like, of course, every white guy wears Epcot tough guy shit. And I got to laugh. And then I just started going off about racism.
Well, that's how
how it doesn't exist. And then that's doing well. And some people are mad at me, but it was just like, okay, now I found my lane. It's almost like testing. It's like testing cars at a test drive. And you're like, I'm just going to drive this one for a while and maybe crash into a wall. And I'm going to get this other car. So there's no other art form I've ever known that's like that.
It's it's so funny how bits come out of nowhere.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with a Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
You did Letterman in 2007, and I watched your set, and
But yes,
oh,
but it's fine.
God damn it, 2008.
Okay, it's okay. I was the last. I only remember that because I was the last guest of the year.
Of the year, yeah, because it was
before they went
said
for
Happy New Year.
holiday
But
break.
first of all, you seemed really confident and comfortable, and I read that right before you were going on, they were like, Dave is going to invite you to the couch. Do you have a funny story? And you said, oh yeah, I have this funny story. And they're like, no, do another one. And you're like, I can't, I'm fucking going on national like, shut the fuck up.
Well, it was Eddie Brill. And he was like, he didn't say, let's have another one. He was like, do you have a backup? And I was like, no, Eddie, no, I'm trying to remember my jokes, and, he was like, okay. And it was like, Dave's probably going to call you over. I'm sure if I would have ate it, he wouldn't have. But I was confident, but I also think that was just as I was starting to get noticed in showbiz. And I kind of had that.
Sorry, I got another.
It's okay.
Siren. Go ahead.
No worries.
No, I have two. It's 2-1 now. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're winning.
Yeah.
I kind of just had that, kind of deer in the headlights where I wasn't even thinking about consequences. I remember sitting there, they taped 2 shows that day and I wasn't on at the same time as him, but the show before me was Dustin Hoffman. And I remember watching Dustin Hoffman talk about the time he lived with Robert Duvall. They were roommates in their 20s and they had linoleum put in their apartment. The landlord put new linoleum in, and that was his line to women on the street. Be like, yeah, you got to come by the apartment. There's linoleum. And Letterman was like, would that work? And Dustin went, never, not in a million years. Bob was terrible with women. And I remember, I wish I had more of that now, because I remember watching that and just enjoying that story so much and not being in my head very much.
Right.
And just having that thing of like, you know what? I've done this bit 1,000,000 times. It'll probably at least go well. And now when I've done late night stuff, I've just been, I try not to, but I get really in my head because it's so short. I feel like you probably do too, right?
Well,
it's
that
like,
I really,
minutes.
Yeah, I don't think I do well. I've done the Tonight Show with Leno a few times. I did Colbert, but I did panel.
Yeah.
The first time I did the Tonight Show, I did panel too. Then when I did stand up, you can't get the essence of me in 4 to 6 minutes.
Yeah,
you can't do it. I am a bigger than life. I take up a lot of space. I have an attitude, but you have, the trust, you're first getting up there and you're gaining trust. And
yes.
And you don't really, that's why it's funny when people do these late night shows and they kill. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are joke tellers, joke, laugh,
Set up,
laugh.
knock it down, set it up.
And then they go to a club and people are like, oh, I didn't want to listen to that for an hour, but
yeah,
it's,
you're not mobile. You need now to be like a master of Aikido. You have to be able to roll with anything, especially now that, I don't know if you've noticed this, we're getting a lot more hecklers these days. A lot of people I think because I've been doing it so long, I don't get as many. And I think they all know that if they do it, they're going to be fucking, I used to get so many, I think because I was gigantic and a woman and I'm gay and, I'd be like, go fuck yourself, Yeah.
But yeah, people are I definitely know what you're talking about with these, when I'm not in a show that it's for me.
Yeah.
People think but you go to the Comedy Cellar in New York, you fucking one thing, you're out.
Yeah, good. God bless them.
You have to lock your phone up. That club is
it's incredible.
It's the best.
Yeah, I had to kick 2 guys out in St. Paul on the Late Show, and I kept, I'll play with people. I'll go, I'll take them here, or make fun, make them feel normal. Talk about, hey, it's okay. Hey, shut up, Dad. I know you're not proud of me. Whatever.
Yes.
And then, and these guys, I'm like, the way they're talking to me, they just keep yelling bullshit out and my setups, like just basically
right.
tripping
And it
me,
takes,
tripping
and
me.
then when it starts tripping you, you're like, get the
and I'm
fuck
just like,
out of here.
6th, 7th time, I was like, you guys got to go.
Oh,
And
I
they're
wouldn't
like,
have
no,
waited till
we
6
don't-
or 7.
We don't have to. Yeah, I'm too nice. But they're like, we don't have to. And it's this great place called Laugh Camp in St. Paul. They don't have security. This old bartender had to tap them and walk them out. And they're in the bar. I hear bitching about how comedians used to be able to handle anything. It's like, I did. What am I supposed to do? Just let you? I mean,
comedians used to be. No one is coming there for you to fucking scream at them. Like, what is the fucking wrong?
Them. People were standing up and yelling in their faces.
Right.
And this is where the only time, I mean, I hated it. And then afterwards, the goodwill was great and finished strong. But the thing that got me is afterwards, I'm at the bar having a beer with the bartender who's telling me about these guys. And I'm like, so what were those guys, like 25? And the guy's like, no, they were in their 50s. And that just made me go,
that is
what
even
in the
worse.
living
Yeah.
shit?
Fucking assholes.
I had a bad opening set the next night because I couldn't get that out of my head. My synapses were firing wrong, where I had to stop and go, guys, I got to talk to you and be real. I'm dealing with some shit right now. We're going to get this back. And I did. I won them back and everything. But it was like I had to drop all pretense of master of ceremonies and go, I'm just not myself right now, because literally hearing their age just depressed the shit out of me, because I'm 48 and I'm just like, I'm barely holding it together in my own way. But just the thought of being in my 50s, going with my best buddy, getting that hammered at a show and yelling shit while someone's trying to make something,
and the fact
having
that
no self-awareness. Like,
but that's not about, that's, you're internalizing it, and you have to realize,
of course, of course.
It's sad, but it's also sad that we have to have security in the fucking comedy clubs.
It is.
We need to. My brother calls me. He's like, do you feel safe? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I do feel safe. I mean, I feel less safe as a Jew than I do as a comedian.
Yeah. Judy, I was going to actually lead with that when we were talking before we got into talking about me or whatever I'm doing. I'm like, how are you feeling right now? I've been talking with my Jewish friends. It's like, I'm beyond over this bullshit, for this new openly hateful, bigoted wave.
It's something that is okay. I think there's so many things I want to tell you. First of all,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm just checking in on you.
Thank you. My father, I've just been tweeting about it too.
Okay.
So I was born 17 years after the end of the Holocaust. My parents' friends had numbers on their arms. I know so many children of Holocaust survivors. I remember, my parents warning me, and me being like, please, I think for people my age, it's really shocking. And I'll tell you the story that I went to Yom Kippur services, and at our synagogue, they have there's a service called the Yisker service, which is a memorial service where if you've lost family members, you attend the service. You don't have to if you haven't lost like a sibling or a child, God forbid, or parents.
Right.
And they always, after the service, have a Holocaust, someone who's a child of Holocaust survivors or Holocaust survivors speak about the Holocaust. And this woman came up, and she is a child of Holocaust survivors, and she had spoken before, but this time they were from Vienna, her parents, and she got all this information from the consulate and found out what happened to the rest of her family. And she came to speak about it. And she said at the end of this that she got dual citizenship. And I thought to myself, the child of a Holocaust survivor, the American child of a Holocaust survivor, getting dual citizenship in the country that killed her family.
Yeah.
There's nothing that speaks louder than that. And I've been tweeting about it because I feel like my parents are dead. I'm not, and I remember as a kid going, I would tell them to go blah, blah, blah. You think,
right, of course.
and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You can come after me all you want. You should see the shit on my Twitter feed now.
Of course. Of course.
I'm not going to stop because this cannot happen here, and it's fucking. But thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
No, and it's the thing I'm trying to open my the eyes of my fellow goyim is that the thing there will always be money in weaponizing hate against the other and creating this false adversity or this idea that there is a predatory group of people based on their lineage, based on their, what you might call, race, even though that's
race.
basically a made up thing.
Yeah.
Yes. But there's people making money off of people
absolutely.
who are because they find people who are disaffected, who are not unhappy with their lives, and if they have someone to blame, I always say
it's the oldest hate. It's been the first hate and oldest hate, and they will come after us and after us and after us. And these people that don't speak up, this is what is. It's not. We know that's there. It's the people not speaking up.
Of course,
that's what. Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom made the point to me when I was a kid, I go to punk rock shows and there were skinheads in Portland because Oregon was designated a state for white people.
Yes.
And so, that's in no small part why Portland is so liberal, is because it's a kind of an angry uprising in it of itself in a city, where when you have a city where you have different people, different perspectives, different colors, proclivities, you have discussion.
Yep.
And so you figure out what's what.
It's called discourse. Yeah.
Thank you. So there were these guys coming to shows, dressed up with the suspenders and the shaven heads and the shit kicking boots, and they would, say their bullshit and stuff. And then you had scars, which were called, there was skinheads committed against racism, which were, they were just as violent, but they were kind of anti-racist, but they were also pretty aggro. And I remember the whole thing being really fucked up for the musical scene. And I was saying to my mom, and then there was a guy who had a camp out in the woods, and he would throw punk rock shows and would invite people like me, white guys, and would, you could mosh and you get free beer. And then he would talk to you and be like, who's behind all the, and I had guys coming back to school who were like, it's the Jews. And I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Right.
Lev is a Jew. Zach is a Jew. Nick is a Jew. What the fuck are you talking about? They're like, well, I don't mean them. I'm like, yes, you fucking
do.
And it was that guy, that fucking asshole named Metzger, who's still alive, was out there and he was mobilizing hate. And I remember saying to my mom, what the fuck? I thought we were done with this shit because I knew about it. I knew all the history. And my mom was like, honey, we're never done with this.
Yeah.
This will always come back. All we can do is fight it, minimalize it, and kick its ass and make it run. It's always going to come back because it's too easy. There's always going to be an asshole.
It's crazy.
That being crushingly depressing to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what are you doing? Didn't you see Indiana Jones? The Nazis are the bad guys. Fuck you guys. So that's the thing I always keep in mind. It's like, you can't not fight.
I have to do it. I mean, and you say that you love, Richard Pryor was one of your favorite comedians growing up. True. And it's true. And you said it for the real reason that he was 100% himself. So
flawed, so human.
And fearless. This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome. All right. I could talk to you forever.
You too.
By the way,
too.
I know you're a big Attell fan, Dave Attell fan. I was hosting at Comedy U Grand in Soho, I think in like 1986, and Dave Attell was a New York University student, and I was there the first time he went on stage.
Really?
Yes.
I love that.
And he was so funny, and he's like, "I'm not funny." I go, "You were so funny." I mean, I've just been in it a few years, but yeah.
He is so down on himself. He had I knew a guy who did did a couple albums with me, and oh god, his name is escaping me right now. It's Monday, but he recorded an album with Attell, and he was just like, "It's one of the funniest things I've ever recorded."
Yeah.
I've recorded hundreds of comedy albums, and Dave will not let me put it out. I've begged him. I got on my knees and begged him to let me release it, and he wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He's just the best. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's old school. All right. I always first of all, thank you. I could talk to you forever.
No, same, Judy.
If you don't get me into fucking Portland,
yes,
we're done.
Yeah.
We're DONE.
Honestly, let me know what kind of venue you want.
Okay.
What size.
I also want to go to well, I haven't been in Seattle in a while, but I would love to go. I want to go to that South by. I feel like I'm old and no one wants me, but whatever.
No.
Matter.
South by, I have maybe a couple contacts, but
I have managers and agents. They don't even they're like, go rate your show. Go rate
go to play the Crocodile in Seattle. I just played it. And it's a permanent space. It used to be where all the 90s grunge acts played, and they just moved it. They have a giant room, and they have a smaller room that's about 100 seats. I played the 100 seats one. I did a couple shows, and it was magic.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Great room. And yeah, I can reel off a list of places in Portland for you. So, yeah.
Matt, I ask my guests two things every podcast.
Yes.
Number one is what, we're very pro mental health, nothing.
Right.
And I know you go to therapy now.
Yes.
What else do you do for your mental health?
Honestly, exercise is a big one.
Yeah, same.
I feel like you reboot yourself.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a while, but I need to make it as a good reminder. I have to make an appointment. I give platelets when I can, because that's when people are going through chemotherapy through cancer. They need white blood cells, and my type A positive is a kind that's often in demand.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you basically lay in a chair with a needle in your arm for about an hour and a half. You watch a movie, and then you go eat Cheez-Its and drink
You're your father's son.
Yeah,
You're your father's son. Yeah.
But I will say I'm also not listening to someone that's dying. I'm not that level yet.
Yes.
But but also just look for perspective. I woke up last night and was terrified about my career and about my status.
Gotta get
And
over
then
that shit.
No, you're right. And I tell myself that I am, but then I'm not, but then I am. And, my dad said a great thing to me once. He's like, when you wake up in the middle of the night and there's that voice that tells you you're not shit, that you're worthless.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know if there's a devil, but if there is, that's him.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's it.
You can
And
always call. You can always text me because I will put it right into perspective. I do it for so many comics. I've been doing it for so long.
Thank you.
And it took me forever to shut that voice up. And you know when it'll shut up? When you're in your 50s. That's when it'll shut up. Okay.
Yeah, and I think just to veer. I was always, for some reason, I always taught myself to veer towards the negative, and I don't know why. I think it's Catholic guilt, but I have to veer towards the positive because I got so much good things going. I mean, to have a wife like I have, after all we've been through,
it's not. You can't. Your whole fucking life cannot be based on what another person thinks of you. That's 100%.
It. No, I mean, we didn't even get into this, but I was at my wife's first wedding. We were off and on sleeping together, and
my God, I can't believe I didn't fucking find that anywhere.
You mentioned drunk. That's one of the top 10 drunkest I've ever been, and I'm like, no part of me is like, why are you getting so wasted? It's like you're in love with this person and you won't admit it.
Yeah.
And here we are, and I don't think about wasted time because we have Rose because she turned out so great.
Right.
And is turning out so great. So it's like, hey,
I know. You just don't know. That's why you're in this.
Yes.
Okay. Also, this is my second question. Podcast is called Kill Me Now because everything fucking annoys me. Yes. What pisses you off more than anything in the entire, like it could be the littlest thing that makes you fucking so mad?
Look, I would say off the top of my head, littlest thing is anyone who talks to someone who has to speak directly to the public, especially for a minimum wage, with any kind of disdain or disrespect or bullshit when, the person is just doing their job or just trying to, an obvious example would be being in a frozen yogurt shop and there's a, barely teen that's back there and a guy comes in with his family and they're not wearing masks. This is 2020.
Yeah.
And the person's like, sir, can you use a mask? And the dad goes, we're good. Like, you piece of
Go
shit.
Fuck
this person,
you.
What's the person supposed to do? This 13-year-old supposed to take you on, you 50-year-old asshole. That's the big one would be the fact that our real estate is wholly owned by hedge funds.
Oh,
hedge funds are buying up
real estate. What about you can't go to a game? You can't go to a game and get a decent seat. Yeah.
Tickets.
Because
my wife was just talking about that. Tickets too. It's just, it's one of those things where no one's talking about how our entire country is being rented to us. And, I
watch the U.S. Open. I'm a very big tennis fan. You watch any tennis tournament in the United States, mostly the U.S. Open, and there are great seats that are empty because some fucking corporation, and there's some kid up in the Bronx or down in the East Village who would die to go see this. It's 100% fucking unconscionable. I'm sick of it.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting, and that's a tenth of the resources that are just being sat on and wasted by this inordinate displacement of wealth.
Right.
Where we haven't even begun to understand how to take it on, and that's intentional. They've insulated themselves incredibly, with billionaires loaning themselves money so they don't get taxed.
Yes.
And the fact that it's barely getting talked about just shows me that the fix is in. That the moment someone is going to come forward and say something, they get an envelope and they're like, okay, maybe I'll focus on something else.
And don't forget the 2% of the population that we are, the Jews, we have all of the money, as you can tell by my one bathroom in my apartment.
The one thing I will say is when people are like, Jews run the entertainment industry. I'm like, they invented it. I mean, shouldn't they? I don't know. I don't know if you knew this, like in modern American performance, anything was wholly invented by Jewish folk. Movie theaters wouldn't exist, Cineplexes, and then the industry. And it's like, who else should, but jokes aside, B, they don't.
Right.
Like, stop it. That was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that idea that it's just that, well, the Jews in entertainment maybe have a little more power to get their voices out when some asshole comes forward and says
How
something
about when you are murdered, when 6 million of you are murdered, you might want to say, you know what, I'm not going to let them win. And here's my voice, you fucking pieces of shit. Okay.
Yeah. And anyone, last thing I'll say about it, anyone who says there's a vast conspiracy on any level has never, sat with a group of other people at like the DMV or something. There's no, what conspiracy? What meetings are happening that wouldn't have been leaked so long ago? Well, it's all going on. They're meeting in the woods and worshiping the devil.
Yeah, that's so true.
Go to fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like,
die.
There would be video of it. There'd be so much video.
Right.
Where it's like, why are you guys all wearing goat's head masks? Oh shit. Who let this kid in with a phone? It's like, stop it, man. Like, I don't need the bullshit. Life is too short.
Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for
watch Matt's special. Wait, is that you?
Yes. I got a siren.
Fuck, it's 2-2. Shit.
2-2. We're tied.
We ended up with 2 sirens. Fuck. Yes. I thought I was going to win. You were so lucky you got a fucking second siren.
Last minute. Yeah.
Come on. Someone have a heart attack. Let's go.
Someone is in New York. It's too big. Doug is available on video on demand right now. And it's named after a horrible man I met on vacation with my wife. And it's just about me growing into being a father and a husband and looking back on my garbage days, but also, I want it to be kind of a vacation for people where people can just plop down, turn it on with a bunch of friends and enjoy, hang out. And so that's to your question about why it's not named Matt. It's named after a guy who worked in finance who got insanely drunk and didn't like the fact that he had kids at all. So I think men need good examples. We also need bad ones, and Doug is my bad one. So that's where that was.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Keep in touch. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I love it. I would love to get a cup of coffee with you next time I come to New York.
Okay.
And continue this discussion.
We're gonna exchange noon bars.
Let's do it.
Okay. Matt Braunger, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Thank you, Judy. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of Kill Me Now with Matt Braunger. Kill Me Now is produced by Laura Vogel, edited by Colin Schmaling. This podcast and my life would not be possible without the help of Brittany Jo Sowards Richmond, because she married a Jew. She couldn't be more Goyisha, I have to tell you. She is the most Goyisha person in the entire world, and then she says Jewish things, and they're so wrong. Like, the accent is wrong. What was one you said?
No.
Yeah, come on. No. Come on!
No.
Please! What was it? Oh, no, listen, everyone. So she's trying to be all Jewy because she married Sam, who, like, first of all, Sam is the greatest. He is the greatest. I don't know how he puts up with her. Anyway, so I think it was, Rosh Hashanah, or I don't know, we've been working together for fucking 20 years. Anyway, or Passover, and she comes over and goes, Chag Sameach. No, I don't even think she said, yeah. Chag Sameach, which is Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach is how you say happy holiday, or good yontif, which is also happy holiday, which means have a good holiday. Okay. I didn't even know what the fuck she was saying. What is it? Chag Sameach. Okay, Sameach. Okay? This is what I'm dealing with, people. Okay. That's my favorite story. Okay. What else do I have to tell you? As I mentioned before, this Friday, November 11, the Midnight Theater, 9:30 p.m., I will be interviewing Al Franken for Kill Me Now. It will be a live podcast, our first since the COVID fucking ruined everyone's lives. If you don't have my book, yes, I can say that, you're an asshole. Okay, you're a big fucking asshole. What else do I have to tell them? Britt and I. Oh, I'm gonna be in Boca Raton. I just added this to my calendar. Boca Raton on December 15th. That's Boca Raton, Florida. Yeah, I have the Chosen Comedy Festival in Miami the night before, but we don't want to push that right now because I want to sell tickets to I'm at the Boca Black Box on the 15th of December. I know. Okay, so do you see what I deal with, people? Do you understand? Like, everyone thinks, oh, Judy, she's so hard. I get bossed around. She's not nice to me. She's not that nice to me. Don't boss me around. Anyway, I really hope that our democracy is saved today. But what else do I have to tell you? Listen, just go to my website, judygold.com. I have to update my bio. I'm too busy. Also, you can start sending birthday gifts to me. No, if you love me, make a donation to, the Anti-Defamation League. Make a donation, anything for, climate change, anything against racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia. Okay? I can't take this country anymore. I want to say rest in peace to Steve, who was the door guy, security guard, Steve Green at the Comedy Cellar, Village Underground. He was the nicest, and he was taken way too soon. He died in his sleep, which is the best way to go, but big hole in my heart. I loved to hug that guy and talk to him, and he always made me feel safe. And I remember that these kids were in front of the club and they were being assholes, and I said, why do you have to be an asshole? And the kid's like, looks at me like, yeah, and then he sees Steve, and he's like, oh, all right. And he walked away, and I said, do you think that was because I wasn't backing down or because you were standing next to me? And he's like, because I was standing next to you. Loved him. Wife and 2 kids, and that fucking orange piece of shit is still alive. Okay. So, that's all I have to say right now. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm doing more TikTok because everyone said I have to do more TikTok, and everyone's like, oh, do the toilet thing again. So I'm going to start doing the toilet thing again. If you're still listening, I'm at Judy Gold, JAWDYGOLD. And if you're still listening, I fucking love you so much. And let me tell you who is our favorite listener of the week. This week is, where's my, I did mention Jessica, and she did text, or she DM'd me or something to see if it was her, because I didn't say her last name. And today I'm going to say her last name after I go through all these fucking stupid photos of my kids. Okay, here's her last name. Jessica, don't be mad at me. I love you. And I really want you to speak out about anti-Semitism because it's really bad. And I want you to fucking not let it go when someone says shit about the Jews. Okay, ready? I would like to say to Jessica Hosey, I fucking love you, JHosey34 on Instagram. I love you. She wrote, I love your podcast, Judy. I listened to the end. I'm working the polls for voting in Harlem. I fucking love you, Jessica. Go, Jessica Hosey. Hosey, baby. I'll see you in Harlem, Jessica. Thank you all for listening. And as I always say, so long. Ga, 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 ga.